As Obi-Wan Kenobi once said in Star Wars A New Hope, it surrounds us and it penetrates us and it binds the universe together. Now, I'm not really talking about the Force right now, or at least not right now. I'm talking about nerd culture. Um, but what does it mean to be a nerd? Uh, Honestly, that really depends on who you ask, because nerd culture is such a broad stroke, and there are so many different subcultures that really do exist in our world right now that it's hard to really compare a third to the other third to the other third, and there are honestly so many. But that doesn't mean that we can't really discuss this. Um, let's go with the most relevant. Um, in August 2020, uh, um, Statista.com had actually reported that globally there are about 2.7 billion at least semi-regular semi-regular video game players, and now that could be Halo, Call of Duty, Forza, Animal Crossing, Doom, Legend of Zelda, NBA 2K. If you turn that game on, or just one of those, or one of honestly tens of thousands of other games, then more than likely you're probably a gamer. Welcome to nerd culture. But so many so many people will tell you that it's more than just a game. It's a way to distress. It's a way to try to escape reality. It's a way to hang out with your friends. As a matter of fact, back in February 2020, TechSpots.com had actually conducted a survey of 500 completely random gamers. Of that 500, 36% of them said that they had actually developed a friendship with somebody that they would actually consider a lifelong friend. And of those 500, another 2% had actually stated that 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 like through games they had met somebody that they've been friends with for at least 20 years. Now, I'm not saying that like these are going to be the exact figures, but if you were to scale that up to the same ratio as the 2.7 billion people who do play video games, that would mean that 108 million people around the world have made friends with somebody that they've probably known for at least 20 years just by playing video games. And honestly, video games can go from so much more from just knowing somebody in life. Nowadays, there are so many people, or several game companies, that have actually taken to doing permanent in-game character models for some of their players, fans of the games who have unfortunately passed. The late great Robin Williams. He was actually a semi-regular World of Warcraft fan. I'm sure that we've all heard of World of Warcraft. It's been around for a very long time. And uh, shortly after his passing, uh, um, the developers of World of Warcraft, they actually dedicated um, several avatars in the game to the memory of uh, to the memory of to the memory of uh, to the memory of Mr. Williams. The most well known is actually a blue genie who lives inside of a lamp on the side of a cliff, and his lines are, and I believe his lines are, Arma, Arma, infinite, cosmic potential, teeny tiny living space. But being a nerd is honestly so much more than just video games. Um, there have there has been an entire generation who was who actually grew up reading all of the Harry Potter novels, and that inspired a global fandom. I mean, that experienced a whole subsection of I mean that ex- I mean uh, I mean that actually developed a whole subsection to to our very own Universal Studios, um, and the sheer amount of people who not only grew up with those books but are still fans, have seen every single movie, and who incorporate that fandom into their everyday lives is astounding. But now, if we're talking about fandoms, let's go ahead and shift gears and go to probably the largest and most well known, Star Wars. Um, it's been going on since the 70s, and it's literally a generational tale that hundreds of millions of people know. I'm sure that somewhere in the world, even if you've never seen a Star Wars movie, you've at least caught some reference. I am your father. I got a bad feeling about this. Anytime that you've probably picked up a stick, swung it around, making the vroom vroom sound, that's a lightsaber, Star Wars. So anytime that you've ever made like the so anytime that you've ever made like a pew pew sound, Star Wars. Um, and then speaking of references, there so many fandoms and everything have inspired or found their way into so many things that you wouldn't even think of traditional nerd things, even if you haven't seen the movies, even if you're not really familiar. Um, Thor's hammer, it's really been popularized um, by the Marvel character. Captain America's shield, the Punisher skull, that's a really popular one. You can find that on mugs, clothes, watches, truck rims. Why? Just because it looks cool. But where does it come from? Marvel Comics. And no matter where you go, no matter what you see, at least 4 times a day, I can guarantee that you're going to see something or say something or even hear something that is at least somewhat inspired by something that you would probably consider nerdy. And those fandoms, that culture is so large because of the people who take the pride in their passions. They're not afraid to dress up in cosplay. They're not afraid to go to the parks, swing around some sticks making the viewing viewing sound. They'll jump online and they will post in the discussion threads. They'll dress up in their favorite stormtrooper armors and their favorite superhero outfits, and they'll go to the children's hospitals. I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now, kids don't want to see, their favorite accountant unless their accountant is their dad, in which case, completely understandable. But no, they want to see their superheroes. They want to see the Spider-Mans. They want to see the Supermans. They want to see the Harry Potters. They want to see the Doctor Who's. And why is that? It's because these things appeal to all of us, whether we're 4 or 54 or even 94. There's just something for everybody, something that even if somebody never thought they could find something to relate to, they found something that they've been able to relate to, that they want to be able to relate to, that they see something of themselves in their favorite characters. And maybe it's because their characters are larger than life and that's who they want to be, or maybe it's because it's these grand characters with their own sense of groundedness that make them so relatable, and that's why we love them so much. It's why we love our fandoms, and it's what makes us nerds. I mean, I myself, the very first thing that I'll tell people, hey look, I'm fat, I'm tired, I'm a nerd. True story. And I'm not saying go out there and build your own 501st clone trooper set of armor this weekend. But hey, at the very least, go see that movie. Go pick up that new copy of Halo Infinite that's coming out, even though that actually technically isn't coming out until next year. But hey, you never know. You might really make your next friend, you might really make your next family through something pretty nerdy.